And so everything was a push. When it got going, tough got going, I pushed harder, continue to push. And my total definition of abundance was achievement. Fill up the bank account. That was my drive. And so eventually that's what happened. It happened because of I was so strong and I pushed so hard, and that always worked until it didn't. As time went on, my definition of abundance changed. And so I saw abundance as building a relationship with God and getting back in his good graces after all my shenanigans. So then it was more about living a life with God as God intended me to live it. Abundance doesn't just simply happen, but it's something that we cultivate.
Welcome to the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. Your guide on this journey is Amy Sylvis, ready to unlock the keys to a life of true abundance. We're diving into everything from financial freedom and optimal health to meaningful relationships, geographic freedom, and everything in between. It's about creating a life rich in experiences, purpose, and joy. If you're ready for the secrets to an abundant life, hit that subscribe button now, and let's get started.
Secrets to Abundant Living podcast community. Welcome to another really exciting episode. For those who don't know me, my name is Amy Sylvis. I'm the founder and CEO of Sylvis Capital, and we connect investors to hands-off real estate investment opportunities. But the purpose of this podcast is to help you think through what abundance means for you, expose you to incredible people, and understand how they define abundance, how they've created abundance in their life. And that's why I'm really thrilled to welcome Mr. Keith Cole here with us today. Mr. Cole, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Amy. This is certainly a pleasure for me, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and your audience.
Thank you so much. I know a bit about you, but I'm excited for you to tell the audience a bit about you so we can get to know you better and kick off this great conversation, please.
Well, okay, thank you. As you know, my name, by now, it's Keith Cole. I am a United States Marine Corps Vietnam combat veteran and a retired self-employed CPA, an author, speaker, and a workshop facilitator. And my experience comes from both professional experience and from personal recovery from severe burnout. So I help people through life of anxieties and strategic understanding of the different root causes, and also develop a practical daily habits that promise healing and resilience.
Wonderful. Goodness, is that needed in today's day and age? I can imagine there's quite a bit of demand for that. Thank you so much for your service, by the way. I can't imagine what seeing combat in Vietnam must have been like. I feel like just day-to-day American life can be tough as it is. I just can't imagine what you saw and what you went through during that time and how that's informed your story and how you help people.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. It's not the easiest thing to do in life. But, the strange thing about it was that my plan as a kid was always I was going to become a Methodist minister.
Oh.
And so I used to actually, Amy, I played preacher. I visualized exactly where my life was headed.
Okay.
And I would preach to my imaginary congregation that sat on the stairway that led to the upstairs of where I lived. And as a senior in high school, looking at colleges and thinking about seminary, and my dad died.
Oh.
And he was only 52. He was a railroader all his life from the time he started at 17 years old. And so he had this, strength, a lot stronger than me, bigger than I am. And so it couldn't have been his fault. And I became a very angry kid. So filled with grief and anger, and I got mad at God. Of course, it was his fault. And so I blamed him for everything that happened. I became very rebellious. Had a younger brother and sister at home at that time, and I totally ignored their feelings, and I just put it all on me. It was just my feelings, the only thing that meant anything. And instead of going to college, I went into the Marine Corps.
Oh.
And so when I went into the Marines, of course, the Vietnam War was going on.
Wow.
And being the stupid kid that I was, he said, "Oh, good. That's what I need is war. Let me go." And thinking I'm going to take out my anger, then I found out that I was not so angry when I landed in boot camp in the Marine Corps. That was a different story.
I bet.
But then, of course, in boot camp was very difficult. And I heard every day that I'm going to Vietnam. We were constantly told that.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely right. That's exactly where I went right after boot camp.
Wow.
I was there for 6 months before I was wounded.
Mm.
And then I got wounded 2 more times after that. I went home after 9.5 months in Vietnam, spent time in the hospital. After several months in the hospital, I was reassigned to duty, and my duty was training reserves. But the main thing was to notify next of kin that their Marine had been killed or wounded.
Wow.
That was more difficult in many ways than being shot at.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, that was very difficult. And so about a year after that, I get a phone call from my brother, and he says, "My mother's dying."
Mm.
And she had cancer, and I knew that it was possible she would die. But she had asked me that if she passed away before my younger brother and sister, before they would graduate from high school, ask if I would be their guardian.
Right.
I said, "Of course." And then, so that's exactly what happened. So after her death, then I applied to Marine Corps headquarters to be released from duty to be their guardian, and they approved it. And being a sergeant in the Marine Corps, a combat veteran, machine gunner, I knew I could do anything. All I had to do is push harder
Okay.
and push. And that's, of course, what I did. And that always stayed with me through the times that they grew up. And that was actually my definition of abundance. Was
Okay.
more, get more, push through. If it's hard, do it. Drive. And I kept that mentality. And actually, I learned that mentality in the Marine Corps. It's
Mhm.
like, you are a member of the greatest fighting force in the world,
Yes.
and you can achieve anything. And I believed that. And so I went out to do that. And so everything was a push. When it got going, tough got going, I pushed harder and continue to push. And my total definition of abundance was achievement.
Hmm.
Fill up the bank account. That was my drive. Eventually, it was very difficult getting through college with the other responsibilities. So I always had to work, whether I was going to school full time, working part time, or I was working full time, going to school part time.
Wow.
Didn't matter. I was getting through school. I was going to graduate and become a CPA. And so eventually that's what happened. It happened because I was so strong and I pushed so hard, and that always worked until it didn't.
Until it didn't. Mm.
And so as time went on, then my definition of abundance changed. And so I saw abundance as building a relationship with God and getting back in his good graces after all my shenanigans. And so then it was more about living a life with God as God intended me to live it.
Ah. Yes. Brilliant. 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 Keith, I'm almost at a loss for words about what you went through growing up, losing both of your parents at a young age, combat. It sounds like you said over 9 months in Vietnam, and that war, raising or being a guardian for your younger siblings. It's no wonder you had to keep pushing. I understand hindsight's always 2020, but I just put myself in your shoes at that age, and it seems like you were doing the best that you knew how. Do you have I know you've had a change of heart and you've had some adjustments, maybe not some dramatic ones, but do you have empathy for that younger self and what you were going through and how you coped?
Well, that's so interesting that you would ask that question. I'm not sure I've been asked that before.
Okay. Didn't mean to throw a curveball at you. I'm just trying to sit with
No, that's good.
this.
That's good.
Yeah.
I had, just a total breakdown from the results to a certain degree, I guess you'd call it that.
Yeah.
And I reached out to God for forgiveness and help. And I started writing. Actually, I was writing to me. So after all these years, and pushing and stuff. And now, what in the world happened?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when I started writing it, and then I had a plan, which I call a praiser plan. And it's actually, that's how I cultivated abundance in my life.
Okay.
Real abundance now. Okay.
Yes.
It's a difference,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so that I learned that abundance doesn't just simply happen, but it's something that we cultivate.
Yes.
Right? And so when we cultivate that through daily habits, it became a discipline in my life. But as I was learning this and as I was writing this out, it was almost like a newsreel or a TV show or something in my mind's eye, seeing what happened from the time my dad died
Mm-hmm.
through the Marine Corps to ringing doorbells, and telling a young bride holding a baby that her husband's not coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Through that process, that I realized that, wait a minute, if this is helping me, maybe I can help others who have been through something similar or their own stressful life, regardless of where the trauma or the grief is from. Because what I have learned sincerely also, it's almost like a smorgasbord, there's plenty to grab from if you want trauma, if you want something.
Yes. Yes.
It's that type of pain and grief comes from us from all different types of directions. And so if you don't have to be a combat veteran, for Pete's sakes, even though we have many.
Yes.
Right. But there's many other ways it affects our lives where I thought that perhaps my story would help others.
Incredible. I love this idea of meeting people where they are because of your deep understanding. Maybe your story isn't identical or your trauma isn't identical, but you going through the process yourself and understanding how cultivating abundance, renewing it sounds like asking for forgiveness from the Lord, developing that relationship, and then being able to help others through the steps that you took or the path that you took. What a beautiful way to redeem that experience or those experiences that you went through.
Yeah, I definitely don't minimize the need for filling up your bank account.
Of course.
Right. Not even a little bit. I mean, I spent most of my life doing that.
Yes. Yeah. A CPA. That's the numbers. Yeah. That's the whole thing. Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I'm a treasurer for our church, and I'm still working on that. Fill up the bank accounts for the church as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So my whole story is about abundance through God's help and living through Christ.
Beautiful. I love that you point that out about money because we can't say that it's not necessary, but is it something you worship? Is it an idol or is it a tool? Is it a vehicle or is it your North Star, right?
Yes.
Quite a different perspective. I just love that you bring that up because it's true. We need it in the way society is structured. God talks about it in the Bibles, but is it driving everything or is it just a tool amongst other things to create greater abundance in more important ways?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Have you ever thought about having multiple streams of income? Instead of relying on just one stream of income where you're trading your time for money, how would you like to free up more of your time and live a more abundant life? As a listener of the show, you're invited to attend one of our upcoming trainings where I'll give you an inside look into how you can add passive income and get all the other perks of recession-resistant real estate investing without the headaches of being a landlord. I'll also be sharing some hidden mistakes to avoid and the criteria I personally look for when evaluating potential investment opportunities. To reserve your seat for free, go to sylviscapital.com/webinar. Again, that special link to reserve your seat for free is sylviscapital.com/webinar. I look forward to seeing you on the training. And now back to the show. Keith, can you tell us about these steps that you talk about, that you teach, and how you help people? I would love to hear more about that.
So I wrote a book, which is called Burnout, God's Recovery Plan. And towards the end of the book is what I call God's recovery plan. And so in addition to the book, that particular part of it, I call a workbook. And I've published that separate from the book. It's in the book, but also it's separate. It's only about 100 pages long. So it's a very quick, easy read. I was a Marine, don't forget, so I don't want to make it too difficult to read.
Fair enough. To the point, right? Get it done. Okay.
So, oh, by the way, when I came out of boot camp, they said I was going to be a machine gunner because I'm smarter than the other ones.
That's a nice
Oh boy. Oh, this Marine Corps is in trouble. If I'm the smart one, look out.
Oh boy, you're so
Yeah.
funny.
So I published the workbook separately, but as 8.5 by 11, because the book's only 9 by 6, so
Okay.
it's smaller. And so it just makes it so convenient to use as a workbook, as a separate. And so there's 8 different steps in each day. Now, I don't want to scare anybody away, but my wife and I get up at 3:30 in the morning and we read, meditate, pray, plan the day, and then we go to the fitness club.
Wow.
And we work out. And she works and I come home. I'm older than she is. So, but she works, somebody's got to pay the rent, So, oh, she's really hit me in the head.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
But so it builds a discipline and it has become such a habit that these are the steps. This is the routine that we set our day out when we start our day. We think a good day, we work a good day, we plan a good day, and we have a good day. And so it starts out, the very first thing is action.
Okay.
Action, because I've had to do this all my life. I've always planned the day and I know where I was going. The difference with the action as far as God's recovery plan is that I plan this day with God's help.
Okay.
I don't try to conquer the world before noon.
Okay.
And I don't work at conquering the world until tomorrow morning either. So I don't do all-nighters anymore,
Ah.
right?
Mhm.
So as an accountant, especially during tax season, I'm going to work through. It doesn't matter. Don't stop me. Get out of my way. I got work to do.
Yeah.
Type of thing, right? And if it took all night, it took all night.
Wow.
When I was younger, I don't do much of that anymore.
Yeah.
But the first thing is action, is planning it out. And so normally I'll have 6 items to do in the day. And I go down that list prayerfully. I write the list, right? The 6 things I'm going to do today. And then I work on those and I start with in priority so that I'm going to do the most important one first and then on down the line.
Okay.
I have a set time. I'm going to quit working today. And so once that time comes, I'm done. And if the work hasn't been done, then it goes on tomorrow's list.
Okay.
And I do that knowing that I've done everything I could today, then I'm satisfied with that because I have successfully done what I have set out to do. And that was able to get done in that particular time.
Okay.
And so then also, so next to the P is for prayer. And so I do have prayers that who I'm praying for and what I'm praying for. And that's a part of the process. And then R is for reading, and reading is reading scripture, reading the Bible verses. And so there are 8 different steps like this. And those, each one has a Bible verse that goes with it. So each step is grounded in scripture.
Wow.
It goes on for 1 week like that. And there's 12 weeks. But each week, the scripture changes.
Okay.
So that, so there's going to be 12 weeks of action with different scripture for each week. So, and so each week, of course, is for 7 days. And then you move on to the next week. So I've done this. I've gone through the process several times. I'm not sure how many now. But every time I get something new from the Bible verses.
Oh, wow.
Maybe not for every Bible verse, but maybe sometimes only one of them really hits me in a different way or something.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so that process, I knew before I had, just a breakdown from the burnout,
Mhm.
I knew there was something I'm missing in my life. Something's not right.
Yeah.
I've always knew that. But once I started doing the appraiser in the workbook, once I started that, it was peace of mind that I received. And that's what I knew. It may sound simple, but I didn't know what was missing
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, right? But I knew there was something missing.
Yes.
But now I can tell you it was the peace of mind.
Yes.
And through that peace of mind, now that I have, and I enjoy that very much.
It's terrific. I would love to hear, 'cause I'm sure there are entrepreneurs, business owners, executives listening to this that are thinking, gosh, I would love to be more time bound with my work. But if I don't get these items done on the day that they're due, I'm at risk of, letting other people down, my employment, contractors, customers. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm sure you've gotten that question before with people that you help with burnout. How do you reconcile those two things?
For one thing, if you have more on your plate to do than what's reasonable,
Yeah.
in the time limit you have set, then definitely
Okay.
there's something wrong with one of those things.
Makes sense.
The problem is not with the executive or the individual who's attempting to do the work.
Yes.
It's not the person's issue or fault, but it's one of the other items that it's either there's trying to get too much done in too short of a time,
Yeah.
or it's just a reasonable amount of work to do.
Fair.
Yeah. Right in the book, there's a chapter on men with burnout, men in the Bible with burnout, and there's another chapter with women with burnout
Oh,
in the Bible. So, and one of them is Moses. Moses had the 600,000 people that he was trying to move from point A to point B.
right.
And they grumbled a lot. And they had a lot of issues, right?
Yeah.
Going through that process. And they don't call it burnout in the Bible, of course,
Right.
but the symptoms are there.
Okay.
And so in Moses' case, his father-in-law said, I have to paraphrase this. You're out of your mind, dude. You're right.
Good paraphrase.
Yeah. You're trying to do everything by yourself. You have to delegate. So if there's too much work to do in this particular time that's set, then you need to have somebody assisting you to get it done as far as that goes. And a major problem I had with me in my CPA practice during tax season is that I have to look at everything myself. I'm going to sign every term. I'm going to, I don't care who does it, I'm reviewing it. And that became a tremendous workload as well. That doesn't work that way. And so the whole thing goes back to delegating when the workload and the time aren't reasonable.
Yes, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. What a brilliant framework. I'm so interested to hear. I think you said you co-created this with God. You were reading the Bible, you were praying, but as you were going through burnout and trying to find your way out of it, to come up with this framework to help you is quite incredible. If it's not too intrusive, I'd love to hear a bit more on how that came to you, how that came to fruition.
So what happened was it was late in my office, actually tax season. And I was the only one. I was the only one left. And I forget how late, 10, 11 o'clock, something. But everybody had gone home for the day. And down in my bottom drawer down here, I kept my bottle of scotch. And I reached down, I grabbed a bottle, and rather than pour it in a glass, I just, drank from the bottle. The expectation was, of course, is that it's kind of a stiff drink. And so I expected to feel something from that. I want to relax. So I thought, okay, if I just, have a little alcohol, maybe it'll help me relax. But there was a total difference when I did it. And I said, well, something wrong. And so I reached for the bottle again and I started to take another drink. And that's when I said, no. I slammed it down, I remember, and said something about, no, I can't take this anymore.
Mm.
And at that point, then I cried out to God for help. I spent quite a bit more time after that with my face in the floor. I had a lot to repent. And so that's what, but then I just started writing and what happened. And as I'm writing through that of what happened in later, when my wife was reading it, she said, how so many years ago, how can you write in such detail?
Yeah.
I said, it's a movie I've watched for the last 50 some years because it's in my mind.
Oh, got it. Took me a minute. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So without my anxiety,
Yes.
there's so much of that I remembered. It was to such detail.
Wow.
And so, but at the same time, I'm asking God for help as I write.
Right.
When I started doing, that's when I realized that, oh, wait a minute, I wasn't in Vietnam by myself. Right. Well, a lot of other people were there. And Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from other countries too. We have a lot of participation.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, not even that. I mean, not even, it didn't have to be combat.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to be shot at, or you didn't have to be hit. But there's so many different things where the trauma affects people's lives today.
Mm.
And so I thought this could help anybody.
Yes.
And so as I'm writing this, I decided to take my pain, my trauma, and my redemption, and I put it into a fictional Marine that I call Kevin Casey.
Okay.
And then the writing became much easier for me because now I'm talking about this guy over here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so I got it off me, but yet it's my memories and my pain
Wow.
and my redemption that's in Kevin Casey.
Incredible.
And so during the process, then I thought, well, I need something to keep on going. I need something that will keep me focused. And so I came up with the God's Recovery Plan.
Incredible. I can't imagine the stories that you must hear from folks for how much that's helped them. What a incredible way for you to go, not to put words in your mouth, but I would imagine go full circle on what you experienced, what you went through, the hardship, and then to turn all this around, as we spoke about previously, to be able to help others. It makes sense, really does. As you talk through what burnout, or we think through what burnout can do to someone and how, I imagine you believe the same, but God doesn't call us to be on an endless hamster wheel of ruining other portions of our life, our health, our relationship, our faith, you know, dedicating ourselves to working so much that it breaks us. I mean, that's just not how we were designed. So to have some plan and ability to think through how to recover from that and support ourselves if we reach that point is such an amazing gift you've given.
Well, thank you. I think that that the workbook and going through it, I mean, it's a 12-week faith-based journey.
Yes.
And it renews your mind and your body and spirit. And I think that going through that, it builds a discipline as well. And to have the routine, it just, a tremendous peace came over me by going through it.
I bet. Wow. Well, I am so grateful that you've shared with us your journey, your story, what you've overcome, how you've given back through the book and the workbook. Obviously, of course, in addition to picking those up, I would love for you to tell us and leave our listeners with one final word of wisdom, encouragement for those that may think they may be going through burnout or absolutely going through, they're in the midst of that, or they feel lost in their work, their relationship with God. Anything you feel called to speak to right now, I'd be very grateful for a final word from you.
Well, I think the biggest thing, Amy, is that if there is anyone going through a boot camp, going through burnout,
Yes.
burnout was boot camp.
Yeah, I bet. Whew.
There's something in there.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
But if anybody is going severe stress of some sorts of grief, don't do it the way I did. Don't wait for 50 to 60 years later and then look for help. Don't go alone through this. Reach out to somebody you trust, whether it's a therapist, clergy. You could reach out to me if you want to talk to me. That's fine. But the key is don't try to do everything by yourself.
Yes, thank you so much. Could not agree more. Mr. Keith Cole, what a blessing you are to all of us. Thank you so much for joining today, for how you've helped folks. Before we go, how can people reach out to you if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, my website is recoverybyfaith.com. And that's probably the best way. I do a blog and also a newsletter. Also, you could go to there to find the books, God's Recovery Plan, and God's Recovery Plan, the workbook, are both there. And through that, you can reach out to me on that as well. So it's recoverybyfaith.com.
Excellent. We'll make sure to put that in the show notes so it's easy for folks to get a hold of. I encourage everyone to go to the website, buy those books, reach out to Keith if you feel called. And thank you again so much for joining us today, Mr. Cole. Really appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate you and everything that you're doing. And I pray for abundance for you and abundance for everybody in your audience today.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. We'll see you all soon. Have a good day.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Secrets to Abundant Living podcast. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights that will empower you on your journey towards abundance. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback means the world to us, and it helps others discover the secrets to an abundant life too. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn, Amy Sylvis. Keep striving for your goals, nurturing your relationships, and embracing the adventure that is life. Until next time, we wish you an abundantly fulfilling day.